Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming to what likely is going to be the last candidate forum of this endless election cycle. My name is Charlie Comfort. I am the regional editor for Mid-American Publishing, which includes the New Sharon Sun. Tonight's forum is hosted by Oskaloosa News and New Sharon Sun. I will be moderating tonight's debate along with Ken Alsop, webmaster for Oskaloosa News. We're going to be going through a list of questions that we have developed ourselves and not shared with the other candidates. And as in our other forums, we will encourage audience participation. If you do have a question you want to ask, just give myself or Ken's attention and we will hold the microphone and let you ask the question. We don't have a set time limit tonight. We're just going to ask questions until we think everyone's sick and tired of listening to questions and answers. We're going to let the candidates do their introductions, but I do want to let you know that all four of our candidates that are appearing on the ballot are here this evening. And so without further ado, we're going to turn it over to Paul DeGeese to start with candidate introductions.
Good evening, folks. My name is Paul DeGeese. Lifelong resident of Mahaska County. Got 39 years law enforcement in Mahaska County. Last 12 years of that law enforcement spent as your county sheriff. I feel that I got some qualifications that I can bring along to the table as supervisor. I look forward to the opportunity to do so. I have the ability for budgets, understand them, made them, come in under budget numerous times, and I think that's pretty important to be able to bring something like that along. I've got two children, they're both married, live in Mahaska County. Other than that, I think I just would really appreciate the opportunity to serve you. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Scott Veldhuizen. Again, like Paul, I've lived here my entire life. I did leave for 4 years to attend Iowa State University. I graduated there with a degree in agriculture, business management. The family's pretty much all around here. I have a wife and 5 children. 2 children in college, and one in high school, one in middle school. Lost one a couple years ago. They're all actively involved in local activities, played sports, learned music. One's working on the farm right now, helping me out when I'm gone. My work experience, I graduated from Iowa State, went back to the farm for a little bit, and I've been on the farm, involved on the farm ever since. Also worked in sales for Pioneer Hybrid for about 3 years. And then took a job down at Jitamoto, a manufacturing company by Eddyville. Worked there about 8 years. Started at the bottom and as a technician and finished in management the last several years. And then left that to return back to the farm in about 2007 or 2008. Other things I do, I've been involved in the local booster club, highly involved in my church, serve on the board. And then I also do a lot of youth coaching. I just came from helping coach the local high school football team, and it's hard to leave those kids. It's just a fun time for me to see those kids and the success they're having, and that's one of the reasons I'm running. I want to see a future for our kids in this county and continue to grow what we have going. We have a lot of great things going on, and that's what this is about for me, just serving and making it a better place and making it continue to be a lively county and a lively place.
Okay, my name is Steve Parker. Not much has changed since the last forum. I'm married to Donna. We got 3 kids, Amber, April, and Cameron. Cameron teaches school in Twin Cedars. Amber works at a home health care agency in Knoxville, and April's a stay-at-home mom with 3 little girls in the Chicago area. I graduated from school in '72. I bought my farm in '74 and been farming there for the last 44 years. My brother and I bought the family farm here a couple of years ago, and I'm asking you for your vote to be the supervisor. I think I bring a lot to the table, and I look forward to your vote.
I'm Stephen Wanders. I'm married to my wife Annette. I have 2 daughters. One of them's involved at William Penn. She's studying elementary ed. The other one helps me on the farm some, and she runs a hog operation for a local hog company. I was 2 terms Mahaska County Farm Bureau president. I have a farming operation 6 miles west of town. And I'm also serving now as supervisor. I'm filling in for Mark Dolan. And I would just like to say why I run for supervisor is I want the infrastructure of our county roads to be improved. A few years back, we voted to use our 1-cent sales tax on our gravel roads plus the conservation building. And we just went through a rainy spell, and my gravel roads were twice as good as they was 5 years ago because they threw some rock on them and they had some money to spend on them. So that's one reason I'm running. I want my daughters to grow up in Mahaska County. I want them to be part of the farming operation if they want. And that's the main reason I'm running. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. We will start with our first question, and this one's going to be for Mr. Wanders. Could you please state your vision for Mahaska County for the next 5 to 10 years?
My vision for Mahaska County is that it continues to grow and get to be a better place, or a good place to raise our family, where the taxes stay reasonable so we can afford to go to town and spend our money in the businesses. I would like to see a few more businesses in town. Hopefully they come. I remember when I was a kid, the businesses around the square, and what's there now, it's sometimes a little disappointing. But I think the agricultural part of Mahaska County is pretty solid. I guess I think it's just going to keep slowly moving ahead, but I don't think we want to move backwards with higher taxes. Thank you.
This one's for Mr. DeGeest. And last forum we heard about the matrix system for livestock confinements. And 88 out of 99 counties use that system. Would you be in favor of doing that? And would you consider limiting or somehow regulating how many hog confinements are in production or available to Mahaska County because of the damage that they do to the roads?
Well, I'm not 100% sure exactly how to answer that, Ken. I can't say that I'm for or against it. The situation is that our farming operation is the same in Mahaska County as what any manufacturing operation is. And our farmers bring that to the table here, and we need to figure out some way that we can continue to help support that. Along with that, our secondary roads that are being beat up, that's anybody's guess on exactly what we need to do, other than I think that we need to put some sort of plan to paper and figure out a long-term solution here where we start planning to take care of certain paved roads for the next 20 years. Put a 20-year plan in and start to implement it that way. Again, like I said, the hog operations in Mahaska County, there's a lot of pros and cons, but the point is it's still part of our manufacturing structure here in Mahaska County.
Mr. Parker, the supervisors have recently come up with a plan for the rerouting of 220th. And what do you see as the positives from that? And do you see that there could be any pitfalls associated with that particular plan to reroute 220th?
I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't know much about what the supervisor has done in the last little bit. I've been under some time constraints, so I really couldn't answer that right now. I don't know what their plan is.
Okay, that's fair enough. And in Mr. Parker's defense, he has dealt with a death in the family, and we do greatly appreciate him showing up tonight. He didn't have to be here.
For Mr. Van Veldhuizen, What should be the number one priorities for the Board of Supervisors in 2019?
Well, by listening to the voters and the taxpayers and the residents of this county, I think overwhelmingly I'm hearing that we need to get the EMA 911 issue figured out. Law enforcement people are a little bit on edge about it. Citizens, even people passing through our county are somewhat at risk. I know it's going to take some time. We do want to do due diligence and do it the right way. It's going to cost some money, but we're just kind of spinning our wheels a little bit right now, I think, trying to figure out who's in charge, which lawsuit's in effect, what decision's going to be made, who can bid on it. It's just really messy right now. It's going to take some time to get it cleaned up, but it has to be worked on urgently. And that's one of my goals, the first thing that I would be working on hard to get cleaned up. I think we can. It's going to take some time, but yes, it's very important. It's utmost important right now. As a supervisor, it's our job to watch over the public safety of our county and our residents and our law enforcement or first responders. So it's high priority for me.
All right, I'm going to give an opportunity for anybody in the audience that has a question. This is your opportunity to directly address the candidate. Not seeing any yet. We'll come back to this later.
For Mr. DeGeest, I want to ask you the same question on the 220th Avenue rerouting. Obviously, this has come up with the regional airport project. What do you see as the positives and the pitfalls of the proposal with the current Mahaska County supervisors for rerouting 220th?
Well, obviously, they're going to have to do something, and the bypass that's coming through will affect that greatly. I don't see any really major pitfalls other than the fact that they're probably going to have to rework a few of the areas along that route, possibly a bridge, a couple culverts, that sort of thing, and widening here and there. But I really don't see any real big issue with it.
Mr. Wonders, what should be the number one priority for the Board of Supervisors in 2019?
There's probably a couple of them. One of the big ones is going to be mental health. The mental health is coming down, and what the state's probably going to do with some of it. And the way we address mental health is going to change tremendously. And mental health is a very, very expensive thing to deal with. The other thing is the EMA 911. Supervisors decided that this drug on long enough. We put out bids for a new radio system. We're going to open the bids November 2nd. We're going to send them to our consultant, which both companies, Motorola and Raycom, has agreed with. And we're going to let our consultant tell us the positives and negatives of both systems in an open meeting, and we're going to buy a system. I feel it's a responsibility of the supervisors to own the infrastructure of the radio system. As far as 911 EMA and the legal battle, we have to decide what Iowa code is telling us to do. I want to follow the Iowa code. I think we need to build a foundation off the Iowa code for EMA 911. So that's my stance. The code of Iowa is pretty plain on it. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't explain it all to you, but the lawyers are going to come up with a solution to what the foundation ought to be, and we ought to move ahead. Because this 911 EMA is run different than any other county in Iowa. So we just need to get down to the basic Iowa code and follow it. Thank you.
I had a little bit of a follow-up question for that, Steve. So you're a sitting supervisor right now. You were appointed, and so the question about the RFP only getting one initial quote or bid for it. So why wouldn't Motorola now submit a bid for the system after EMA put it out and they decided not to bid? So now the County Board of Supervisors is using that same RFP and both are bidding. Can you tell me how that happened?
That was quite a question, but we sent out or the EMA sent out an RFP and they got 2 proposals back. One come from Raycon and had numbers on it. The other was a letter from Motorola saying we would like to work with the county. There's a reason why they didn't want to work with the EMA, and I can't answer that question, and I can't speak for Motorola. But for some reason, and I think I know why, but I ain't going to guess at it, they wanted to work with the county on it. So that's why it's moving ahead. That letter arrived like August 15th. Nobody knew about it till 2 weeks ago. It was a public letter. It shouldn't have been pushed aside. It should have went to their consultant, and it didn't, the way I understand it. But this EMA, and I'm not on that board. But if you can't put the public letters out to the public, something kind of smells on it a little. And why Motorola chose to do what they wanted to do is beyond me, but I feel the taxpayers deserve 2 bids. So.
And am I correct, there was some recent road work that was done? I know that you've talked about this was a multi-million-dollar project. And there was a recent road project that went north of the Glendale access. Was that one over $3 million and only 1 bid came in?
I'm not sure how many bids they have on that. The engineer handled that.
Okay, I was just
and the engineer suggested that we do it, and he works for us, and we work together on projects, and he said this is what we ought to do. So I used his expertise on that one.
Okay, fair enough. All right, thanks for
explaining. Thank you, Ken.
This next question is going to be for Mr. Van Veldhuizen. Mr. Van Veldhuizen, do you agree with the current proposal for the rerouting of 220th Avenue?
I guess I've seen a little bit about it. It's supposed to go on 235th and then up Dean Avenue, I think. I think Elba Avenue is in between there, but if I understood right, it's a little hillier and it'd be a little tougher to maintain and use for a farm-to-market road. It's also my understanding 235th Street's a little narrow. I've been on it. I've farmed on that side of the county and had to cut across 163 to get there, and I've been on that road. Sister-in-law lives on that road, so I understand a little bit. It's narrow. It's going to need some work. I think it's a good plan. I trust our engineers and our road staff that they did the best they could. And of course, there's going to be struggles with it and challenges, but that's part of any road. I think it'll be fine.
At this time, do we have any questions from the public that you would like to ask the candidates?
Got some, John? Here, I'll hold the mic for you.
Okay. The FAA has stated that they'll pay approximately $20 million of the $25 to $30 million for the airport. This proposed rerouting of 220th is coming in somewhere around $6 to $8 million. So then if we divide that by the county, because this is not funded by the FAA, the other money, if we use a generous 25,000 residents in Oskaloosa and Pella, that comes out to about $40 for every $1 million spent. With a potential of $18 million, that's $720 million for every man, woman, and child in Oskaloosa to be responsible for. And at that point, the airport will only be built to 100 feet longer than the current Pella Airport. This number does not include inflation or building of hangars. The city of Oskaloosa has decided to join Pella in a lawsuit to sue the county to continue this work, thereby saying that they are supporting of every man, woman, and child of Oskaloosa being responsible for $728. The SCRAA does not respond to questions of financial whatever. Local media has not made this an issue. Now, my question to each of you candidates is a two-part one. One, do the residents of Oskaloosa deserve a voice? Two, if they do deserve a voice, and you're elected supervisor, what do you personally plan to do to give these people a voice? It's for all candidates.
We'll start with Mr. East.
At this point, I'm not 100% sure what the county can do in regards to this. You listen to your figures, and I'm not sure if they're 100% correct. But as I've stated in the past, I wasn't there for the conception of this airport. I'm not even sure the supervisors can do anything in regards to it other than try and slow it down by lawsuits. I do know once the courts find either way, either in favor or against, it'll be up to Mahaska County to move forward one way or the other, either for it or against it. As far as the road that you're talking about, I'm not sure where you came up with those figures, and I don't know any other way of finding out. Where did you come up with those?
Those are estimates provided basically by the supervisors. And I don't know that the supervisors know the exact amounts, but those are some of the numbers that they were using. And then, as far as the airport itself, the 25 to 30 million was provided by the South Central Regional Airport Agency. The numbers I got from FAA came through Senator Joni Ernest's office, that the FAA will only pay 20 million.
Again, I'm not sure. All I know in regards to that is that originally it was supposed to be 90% of it was going to be funded by FAA through fuel tax on airplanes. That would leave a 10% split between Mahaska County or Oskaloosa and Pella. None of which the residents of Mahaska County would be accountable for. It was city residents of Oskaloosa and Pella, not Mahaska County residents. As far as the road that goes through there, again, I'm not sure what the figures are. That seems a little high for the road around there, but other than that, I don't know what to tell you.
Could you repeat your question at the end? What was your actual question?
The actual question, Scott, was, do the residents of Oskaloosa deserve a voice in this, the matter of the airport? If so, and you are elected supervisor, what do you personally plan to do to give the residents a voice?
I've always said that I'll listen to residents. Everyone has a voice. The method that they use that and where it can be heard and who can do something about it differs. Again, like Paul said, 90% of the money is government money. 10% of it is coming from the cities of Oskaloosa and Pella. It's my understanding that some of that money is going to come, or most of that money is going to come from the sale of other airports, other property. So they're kind of on the hook for that, it's my understanding. I don't know that me as a supervisor will be on the hook for taxpayer dollars from the county residents to pay for this airport. I'm not going to conflict the numbers that you said. I haven't heard them. I can't verify them. I don't know if they're correct or not. Like I said earlier, I think that's more of a city council issue based on Oskaloosa and Pella. Again, we'll listen to them. I think we're going to be dealing with whatever happens. It's in the courts now. It's been appealed. The Supreme Court threw it back to the county and said, hey, you got to work on this road issue. So they're working on the road issue. I think the city of Oskaloosa and Pella have said, hey, this is starting to cost us some time. This needs to move forward. I don't know if they're going to put a dollar amount on it. I imagine somebody has an idea of a dollar amount. They want to move forward. That's my understanding of what's going on. Again, I think as a supervisor, I think we're just going to be trying to work through this and make this the best for everybody possible. I don't know if I'll have a lot of say in what's going to happen because a lot of those decisions have already been made in the past by other supervisors and other people.
Well, it was a few years back, they had an election in Oskaloosa, is my understanding, and they was overly willing to keep their current airport as is. They didn't want anything different. Then a few years later, they started this new airport deal, and I think the people have always said in the past they didn't want this airport, and any of the past elections showed the people that was anti-airport won usually. So I think the people have spoke what they want, but the upper people have not listened to the people.
I would first like to say that for some reason it sounds like the supervisors are suing the cities. The supervisors are not suing the cities are suing the supervisors. And the reason the supervisors have took the stand they have is we want 220th Street replaced, not closed. We do not want farm machinery on 163 any more than we have to. That's a 65 mile an hour speed limit. And a 20 mile an hour farm tractor is a danger out there. And if they close 220th Street, there's no other route. And it's going to put that machinery right on 163, and we know how busy it is. So that's why the supervisor said, if you're going to build your airport, you're going to build us a farm to market road that takes the farm machinery off 163. And that's our stance. So that's why we're in court. When they had an airport at Otley, I got the paperwork in my folder. Pella knew they were going to have to reroute their farm to market road. It's going to cost them $2 million to do the road up there. And they agreed to that. Then they come to Mahaska County and they just want to close it. So I have an issue with that. So, and I got the paperwork, if anybody wants to see it, it's public document, it comes from Marion County supervisors. So, our point is you're going to build us a road. So, we'll see what the court says. Thank you.
Hello, Catherine Paul Goodman, rural Leiden. I guess just to kind of follow up on that previous line of questioning, I guess I asked Mr. DeGeest and Mr. Van Waldhuizen, we keep hearing, oh, the county's not going to spend any money for the airport, the county's not going to spend any money, but then we're just talking about millions of dollars for this road, and I don't think there's any reason this road would ever be closed or rerouted if not for the airport. So I'm not sure how we can justify being put on, can justify that and say that we're not doing any spending for it county-wise.
That's a tough thing to argue with you, and I agree with you 100%. But the situation we're in, what choice do we have in regards to that? Now, I've said this since day one, and I don't know how I can be any clearer about it. The situation is that the airport is in the court's hands. It's irrelevant whether I agree with it, disagree with it. There's nothing I can do about it. But if it comes in, obviously we're going to have to close 220th Street. And, you know, it may be somewhat of a burden to us. It may be. But I don't know what else we can do.
I agree with Paul. Moving the road is part of the project. The road wouldn't have to be moved if there wasn't an airport. So it's my understanding that moving the road is going to be paid for by federal money if it goes like we think it will or it needs to. I don't know.
I've never heard that or gotten that information.
I've been told by another elected official that is what they're working on. I don't know that that's going to happen for sure, but that's what we're working on, or not what we're working on. That's what they hope to happen, because the county should not be responsible for having to move that road if the federal aviation authority says that we need this airport because the Pella Airport's unsafe, and that's my understanding. There's a whole bunch going on with this. I don't think any of us understands everything clearly. There's a lot of documents, a lot of meetings going on. That's my understanding at this point. I love 220th Street. I live north of Mahaska. I go to Pella a lot, to church, to sporting events, whatever. I'm on that road all the time, just like a lot of people are. I'm not a big fan of it closing, but if the airport's going to go there, it's probably going to have to close, because I don't think I can drive my car over a runway. So I don't know. Like Paul said, I think it's kind of what we're stuck with. So we'll have to do the best we can with what we're dealt with and move forward.
Quick follow-up question. So then if you're elected, would you commit to not move forward with the closure until we receive the federal funding for it that you said is in the works?
I don't know the timeline of how everything's going to how everything's going to come together with a couple different things in court. I don't want to commit to the answer to that question just because I don't know how the timeline, how things are going to come together. And not being actually elected now and talking to some of the people that these other people are, and being behind the scenes and sitting in the closed meeting stuff, I can't answer some of those questions without being more involved.
I just have a really quick question. We'll go down the line and we'll start with Mr. Wanders. If you're elected to the board, who do you represent?
I represent every citizen of Mahaska County, every small town, every big town. I represent everybody.
Okay, and is that equal for those that live in the city as versus rural?
Yeah, because my daughter lives in town. I'm gonna treat her just like everybody else.
Okay.
Yeah, I got friends that live in town too.
Okay.
It ain't a city rural deal to me.
Okay, and I was just asking for some clarification
Right.
because I'd heard you say differently in the past, and I think just a chance to clarify was all.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, my daughter lives in Austin, so she owns a house here, so.
Okay. Appreciate that.
I want the best for her. I wish her water bill wasn't so high though.
I think they all wish that.
Thanks.
Mr. Parker, the same question for you. Who do you represent if you were elected to the County Board of Supervisors?
Like Steve, I would represent everybody in the county, every man, woman, and child. But I said last time that people in the town have the city council, they have mayors, where the person on the farm out there just has a supervisor to go to. But I would still treat everybody equally, as a town person, city person, or county resident.
Okay, appreciate that. Mr. Van Veldhuizen?
Of course, I'd represent everybody. I think, like I said earlier, there's a lot going on here. I farm, it's important to me. The roads are important. I also want to listen to businesses, manufacturing people. I talk to those people. I meet with them. I got on the Iowa Workforce Development website the other day. 23% of our people in Oskaloosa are working in manufacturing, and they're getting paid more than any other industry in our county. It's a big deal. We need to listen to them. But there's a little bit of fallacy that if I listen to them, then I'm not listening to farmers. That's not true. I'm going to listen to the farmers as well. The roads are still be important to me. There's a lot going on. We talked about the swine buildings. We talked about some of the other things going on in agriculture. It's a big deal. It's huge to our community. But so is manufacturing. So are all the employees working in those places. If you ask a lot of farmers, many of the farmers are on the farm because a spouse or another family member is working off the farm to help pay some of those living expenses. So if I'm going to stay on the farm, a lot of times I need someone else in my family working another job in town. That's important to me. I don't want that company to leave, and I want other companies there so that it's a competitive job and it's not the only job around. And also brings other people to our town, brings people to our schools, so our schools can have good quality teachers, great activities. We can have a rec trail, we can have baseball fields, it's a big picture thing. There's just a lot more going on. But because if we listen to one side, that doesn't mean we're going to leave out the other side. So I want to listen to everybody and try to piece this all together and work together.
Well, not wanting to sound like a broken record, absolutely correct. And I think representing absolutely everyone within the county, city or county residents. Mr. Wanders was correct in stating the fact that rural residents have basically the supervisors to come to, the same as the city council. The people who live within the city have the council and the mayor to talk to. I think the supervisors need to work closely with the cities and the representation from the smaller cities and the hospitals itself. I think one of the biggest issues that we're facing right now is possibly moving forward with some manufacturing type situations here in Mahaska County, Oskaloosa, New Sharon, Fremont, wherever. Our problem here is the fact that we don't have the manpower to fulfill those jobs. I think it's more important that we figure out some way that we can keep our young people here, keep them interested in our community, and continue to move forward. To answer your question, no, I believe that absolutely every citizen and taxpayer in Mahaska County should be represented by the supervisors also. Thank you.
This next question is for Mr. Parker. Do you believe that there is a rural versus city divide? And if so, what will you do to bridge that divide?
Well, I believe there's a perceived divide, but I think with the right people in there, this can be resolved. This airport really has caused the county major problems with the divide, and until this is taken care of, I think it'll still be there. And I would try to resolve that depending on how the airport comes out. If the courts go one way, we'll have to go what the court says, and we'll have to get it done.
So then just to clarify that, if the courts do rule in favor of the regional airport project and is allowed to proceed, would you honor that ruling?
If that's the last of the appeals and everything else, yes.
I'm going to jump back to Mr. DeGeest here. You were chair of the EMA board when the merger between 911 and EMA occurred. In your view, is the current legal battle over that merger valid?
The EMA 911 decided to merge in 2015, at which point our county attorney at the time, Charles Stream, recommended that we talk to an attorney by the name of Carl Solomons. Carl Solomons was the attorney for the county's insurance. So if the county was to be sued for any reason at all, he would be the individual that would have been representing the county. Mr. Solomons knows the law inside and out. He researched things, he came up with it, and decided the route that we needed to go, and that's what we proceeded in doing so. Everything seemed to be working pretty smooth up until recently when our supervisors had decided that it was the 2080 agreement that was signed was not a valid 2080 agreement for whatever reason. I know Mr. Wander said he wants to follow the code of Iowa, as do we, and that's the reason we hired Mr. Solomons to begin with. Now, I don't know how many of you realize, but you can go talk to 10 attorneys and get 10 different opinions. I'm not saying any one of them are right, but if you're willing to pay them, they're willing to go to court for you. And because of that, we as citizens are suffering. Paying needless attorney fees, in my opinion. We had an attorney who was probably one of the sharpest attorneys in regards to this in the state of Iowa to put this thing together. And now we've got another attorney who says, no, didn't do it right. So meanwhile, we go to court. If it was a matter of a 2080 agreement, and that was all there was to it, then my question to our current board is, why don't we just sign a new 2080 agreement and move on? I truly believe there's a little deeper issues. I think there's some personal issues. I'm almost certain there's personal issues involved with this. And when you're representing the county, believe me, I've been through a lot of situations where personal issues came involved. And you have to work through those. You have to put those aside and do what's best. And that's, did I answer your question correctly? Thank you.
And then continuing, segueing on that, I'm sorry, we do have a question from the public. Why don't you come over this direction?
I'm Howard Western Camp. I live where you guys plan to put a new airport. Concerning this 2080 agreement that you talk about, what we have the biggest problem with is we were never given a chance to vote on it. The city was never given a chance. The county was never given a chance. We just got this 2080 agreement put in front of us, and to quote the city manager at a meeting in Pella, this is going through, but you don't have any say in that. Now, where do you guys stand on that?
Sir, I agree with you. There should have been some sort of a say in it. I want to correct you on one thing. When you say you guys where you want to put the airport, no one here on this panel decided where to put the airport or had anything to do with
I didn't
it.
say that. I said right in the airport.
I understand.
Right there.
I understand. And I'm not arguing with you. I'm sorry. I just wanted to clarify that.
There was no clarification needed.
None of us had anything to do with that. And as far as what you're saying is the 2080 agreement, did you have a vote on it?
No.
No, I know you didn't.
Pull it out of the water, shove it in, and said that's what it's going to be.
Somehow it was conceived, and I can't tell you because I wasn't around when that took place.
That's when Russ out of county expected our supervisors to take care of it. It's mystery, that was John's question. What can we do to get the city to represent the people in the city, to ask them what they want? They've never asked them.
Again, that's the question you really ought to ask one of the city councilmen.
No, I'm asking you guys how you going to help do this.
And I don't know that we can.
They won't listen to us.
Again, I'm not sure that we have the ability to force the county or the city into a vote of any kind.
Kim will let me interrupt that question. Okay, I guess I'm not going to ask for clarification. You gentlemen said you represent the residents of Oskaloosa along with the county residents. If that is correct, then you do represent the city residents. And by there, you can have a voice for the city residents. So, you know, if you do represent the city residents, you do have a voice for them.
So I'm personally a little confused. So is there a question in there that we would, so we can hone it down so that we can get an answer from these guys? So you'd like to ask the panel, would they support it?
Are you really that dense? Oh.
Sir, I've been polite to you. I don't want you to ask a question. Don't call me names. I'm trying to help you help yourself by hosting this. Don't be rude. So I guess we'll just go to the next question.
Which 28 agreement we're talking about? I talk about the 28 agreement that showed that as concerning the airport. We're Did you have a question? Okay.
The only thing I can say to that is the fact that a past board agreed to sign a 2080 agreement. Didn't have anything to do with it. I'm not arguing with you, but we had nothing to do with that. The fact that it is done, I'm not sure that you can change anything in regards to that.
Anybody else have some thoughts?
I think Mr. Banster talked about us representing the taxpayers, not only in the county, but the city, and I did say we represent everyone, but there's a little muddied water there with it. So some of the Oskaloosa tax money from city residents, all the incorporated cities, does go to the county, but some of that money goes for keeping the courthouse open, the infrastructure of running the county, sheriff's department, a lot of the infrastructure. So some of that money is coming from city residents. It has to come to county for it to run. But also, we don't have a say in some of the other city money that goes to the city council for running other city utilities, businesses, whatever, what have you. So I just wanted to clarify that a little bit, that we do have some say, but also we do not have some say in other issues.
I said before, we represent everybody, and when we do, for these people, we cannot force the city council to do anything. We have no power over that, they do. But you're right, I do there should have been a vote. There was a vote several years ago, and the people didn't want nothing but to keep that airport they had. And if they would have kept that, but somehow they changed the council, they changed the other boards and stuff, and got this thing through. And now the county's paying for it.
A lot of people don't quite understand totally how the tax deal works between the city and the county, and I haven't went through a budget system, but there's two different kind of formulas, and one's what they call general basic, is where the city pays like 32%, the little towns pay 8%, and the rural pays 60% into that. And then they have the rural basic, which all comes from the county for the county roads. So there's really no city money goes into county infrastructure. And I'd also like to touch a little bit on what Paul said about EMA 911. He mentioned the lawyer's name. That lawyer resigned when this lawsuit came up. We asked our county attorney to represent us. He said EMA 911 has too many problems. He said, I don't want to deal with it. He advised the supervisors to go out and get their own counsel. That's why they did. So just to give you a little background on how it all went, and that's why the supervisors went out and got their own lawyers, because the county attorney didn't want to deal with it, or he was too busy or whatever. So just to clarify that a little bit. Thank you.
If I might, I'd like to touch on one thing there when Steve said that Mr. Solomons resigned when the lawsuit came up. That's not 100% correct. He was asked to resign by the company that he works for, because they would give him the alternative. You're either going to represent the EMA 911 in Mahaska County, or you're going to work for us. Apparently, from what I understand, someone from the county contacted them and said, hey, he can't do this. He can't work for both of us. And so his company told him to resign. It wasn't because he wanted to.
Catherine Call Goodman, I think to kind of follow up and maybe restate what was trying to be gotten at previously, would you support, knowing it's not binding, a referendum on the 28E agreement? I mean, just to say, obviously there's a lot of frustration, because obviously the voters feel they never really got their voice in it, and we're in a democracy, but somehow this all feels, at least to people, that it was kind of done behind closed doors and underhanded. And I don't have land or anything like that in the area, but just how this was handled rubs a lot of people the wrong way. It makes us feel like we don't have a voice. So would you give us a voice through a vote on it?
I would, in a heartbeat. I mean, and I think it'd be overwhelmingly go down.
I guess I'm not sure if that could actually happen or not. I don't know what's allowed, but I guess if it could happen, then so be it. I'm not sure. Like I said, it was decided back in 2012, and I think this election will have a lot to do with the voice of the residents. I think the residents are going to vote based on that issue, along with several other issues, and I think it's I'm just going to be blunt. I think it's going to have a lot to do with probably what happens going forward.
As I've stated before, and I thought I answered that one other time, but the situation is this. Again, we didn't have anything to do with the conception of that 2080 agreement. All right, now it is in the court's hands. Now whether I like it or don't like it, once they decide, that's the direction we'll have to move. I mean, there's just no two ways about that. Mahaska County would be liable for a great deal of money, way more than what we could even imagine, by reneging on the 2080 agreement. I just don't even know if it's possible.
I guess I voted to appeal the 2080 because I've talked to lawyers that say every 2080 needs an out. This really has no out for the county. Some people say 2080s can't bind supervisors forever. So I guess after we get done with this lawsuit with Pell and Oski, we're going to have to figure out what the people want us to do. and I need some legal counsel to find out, because I don't want to waste money on something you can't win, just because I'm stubborn. So we're just going to have some conversations with some lawyer firms, and like Paul said, you talk to 10 lawyers, you get 11 answers. So it's very, very difficult once in a while to figure out what is right and wrong. Thank you.
You know, a question from the internet that I can ask to ask this evening. If Oskaloosa and Pella win the lawsuit against the county for the airport, would you support taking it to the Supreme Court to challenge the answer?
I assume you're talking in reference to the 2080 agreement that is now in court, correct?
The one that's in court for Mahaska County, not working in good faith and closing 220th.
I honestly, before I would answer that, and I tend to agree with Steve a little bit in regards to that, I would also like to seek some sort of counsel, talk to somebody and get some idea. You know, we can appeal all we want, and all we're doing is spending money. I'd like to know that maybe there was a chance for the appeal to work, but who knows? I mean, until that happens, I just don't know.
I can't say for sure either without legal advice and being in the position. Like I said earlier, we represent the taxpayers of Mahaska County, so if an attorney said we needed to do something to protect our interests, and I guess we have, but I have no idea what's at stake. I don't think anybody knows a dollar amount that we're talking about, and I kind of see it as maybe a good faith effort by the cities to try to move this thing forward. I don't think either city truly wants to try to make our county spend money. I think they just want this to move forward. I think they're just tired of wheels spinning and trying to direct some action is the way I see it.
Well, I agree that we have to have legal counsel, but I would probably go to appeal to the Supreme Court, because we made a major disastrous decision several years ago, and there's no sense going on with it if we can stop it. So I would appeal to the Supreme Court.
Some of it, to me, would matter how much damage the county is going to incur from this lawsuit. Because if you're going to incur $500,000 of damage, you might as well take it to the next level. So we'll see what the cities want to do, or what the legal process wants to do. But if they're going to come after us for $250,000 from each city, I think we have no choice. Thank you.
Well, we have a couple other questions, Charlie, and then we'll start working on closing this out.
One additional question in regards to the regional airport question. Surprise. On social media, I believe it was within the past couple of days, this question is for Mr. DeGeest and Mr. Van Veldhuizen. There was a post made by one of your opponents that stated, quote, "You are okay with letting farmland be taken for someone else's pet project," end quote. In essence, stating you support eminent domain for the use of this project. Can you please clarify your stance on eminent domain in this project?
Again, I'm going to say that I'm a fan of eminent domain. Obviously, we can't create any sort of structure without it. Taxpayers it would cost more without it in order to build roads and not be able to go through property and buy it for the betterment of everyone. Now, the question here is, in this particular instance, is this a betterment situation for everyone? I don't know. I really, truly don't know that it is. I don't know that it's not. We've got some corporations, I think, that are depending on this. I hear a lot of talk that this is Musco's airport, and quite frankly, I don't think Musco has much to do with this airport right at this moment. I know that Pella Corp is pushing it pretty hard. Palacorp. I spoke with people from Palacorp, and I've spoke with people from the city of Pala. The situation is that between Palacorp, Vermeers, Cloud, and Musco, there's roughly 2,300 people in Mahaska County alone employed by those people. Now, they're telling me that moving forward with the airport is good for their business because they can't do business today the way they did it 15 or 20 years ago. I tend to agree with that somewhat. I don't think there's a farmer out there that can do business today the same way that he did it 20 years ago. Everything has changed and moved forward and things are quicker. As far as making a decision here for eminent domain in regards to the airport, there's a lot of pros, there's a lot of cons in regards to it. Again, it's already been decided, at least moved upon to move forward, and now it's in the court's hands. And I keep stressing that people are asking me questions in regards to the airport that I really don't have any control over. I know you'd like to see it, I know that you want it, but we actually don't have that possibility. And once the courts make up their mind, then obviously we'll have some direction we can move.
Could you repeat your final question there so I get back on track here a little bit?
Certainly. In essence, can you clarify your position on the use of eminent domain for the regional airport project?
Regarding eminent domain, as a county board, I don't think we have any say in it at all. It's a state issue. It's entirely up to the state. It's a state law. Other states have it. I don't think every state has it, but many do. And it was used for roads, interstates years ago. You can debate whether it's appropriate for this airport or not. Other airports, I think you can debate that. I've listened to both sides. I've sat in a farm shop with several of these people that are here today, and I've sat and talked to people and other residents that have land in that area, and they're willing to move forward. So I have concern for both sides. I really do. I get it. I get farming land for a long time, and you're not ready to sell. I get it. I also hear businesses saying that we want this airport, we need it, we think it can do great things. I hear that too. I can't promise anybody what it's going to do. I think it has potential, but I'm not going to promise anyone that. So I've listened to both sides. Again, it's a state issue. We will have nothing to do with eminent domain. It happened a few years ago. I think a lot of people, if they could go back, would have done a few things different. We would have tried to sit down and work with people. If people were really against having their land go for this, maybe it could have went somewhere else. I don't know how the process works exactly with the federal government or where they say where it's going to be. But I'm not happy how that process went in the past. But I'm just going to have to deal with what's happened and try to make the best of it.
And then also, yeah, go ahead.
Where I stand on this is, the Iowa DOT says every major manufacturer needs an airport within 30 minutes. All these manufacturers that want this airport already have that. That's why I call it a want, not a need. And I don't think eminent domain ought to be used for a want. These are multi-billion-dollar companies. They could go out and buy this land off these farmers. Most people will sell their land for the right price. They just don't want to be told what they're going to get for it. So that's my stand on it. People say, well, you're against the airport. No, I'm not against the airport, but I am for property rights. And when you use eminent domain to take something for a want, not a need, you violated property rights. Thank you.
Did you also want to comment?
I would just echo what Steve said. That was very well said.
And then I also want to touch on the 911 radio system project itself. We've talked about 911 EMA. That is not the focus of this next question. Who should own the 911 communication radio system project? The Board of Supervisors or Emergency Management? And I'm going to start with Mr. Van Veldhuizen, and this one that's for all four of you.
We'd have to clarify what you meant by saying own. The money's going to come from the taxpayers in Mahaska County, so we're going to have to bond for it if we don't have another source, and the money's going to come from the residents. If you do the rough math on it by 22,000 residents in the county, and you figure somewhere between 5 to 8 million, I have no idea, I've just heard those numbers. It could be less, it could be more. It's going to cost taxpayers somewhere $250, $300, $350, $400 a person, not actually taxpayers, but every resident in the county. Now that's not all going to be paid in 1 year, so you can divide that over years. I've talked to a lot of people that would write the check today for their family. I mean, most people would, because it's a huge concern to them. I think we need to use the EMA 911 board's expertise to decide what works for them. As a supervisor, you know, Paul's had experience, and I have no experience. I've never ridden in a police car, thank goodness, or sheriff's car. They're the experts. They're on the roads. I talked to a sheriff's deputy the other day, actually on Sunday. He talked to me about when he was in a tunnel helping with the shooting down there and having to use a cell phone. And you know, when you can't click a button to talk to someone, you got to pull out your cell phone. And then you talk about another incident with blood all over, and it's a big deal. So let's use their expertise. They're doing this 24 hours a day, all the time. They talk to other law enforcement. Let's use their expertise. The county can oversee it because it's our money. Make sure they make a good decision and move forward. Everything that's happened, I'm a results-based person. What are the results right now? Nothing's got done. People are arguing about who's got to do something. The supervisors or somebody has to take control, and this has to get done. They say they're taking control, but still nothing is done. We spin our wheels over and over and over. How long is it going to take for someone to take the bull by the horns and get it done?
And just to clarify on the question, and to what Scott said, the scope of the question, I guess, as I intended it, is who should run forward with the project? The Board of Supervisors or EMA 911? That is the main issue in discussion right now, and that's the question I want answered.
Well, if I understand the question, my response would be I think the supervisor should own it, but they should use the expertise of the E911 people and the EMA people to run it. But the supervisor should be, because they're the elected officials, and they should take care of the situation.
I feel the supervisors have to own it. One reason, they are the funding source to it. The other reason is EMA directors will come and go, sheriffs will come and go, and you can't buy a new radio system for everyone that comes and goes because he wants a different one than what you already got. That's why it's inner structure for the county, and that's why the county supervisors need to be in charge of it. But we also talk about, like Scott said, we don't exactly know $5 to $8 million. But they got to realize that the maintenance on this thing, to the consultants I talked to, says you better budget 10% a year of that funds just to operate it. The updates and the equipment and what it keeps the updates. So if you take $5 million times 10% every year, that's all going to be paid by taxpayers. So it's a very, very expensive system. I know it's complex. I know we took our time. There's some frustration with it, but it's high dollar. So if you're going to spend the taxpayers' money, I have to be very, very conservative, and I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing, because I would feel terrible in 2 years if somebody said, well, you bought the wrong system. So that's kind of where I stand on it. So thank you.
The first responders for a county, it makes no difference to them who owns the system. They just want a system that works. As far as whether the EMA or the county itself should own it, any way you look at it, it's taxpayers' money, whoever owns it. I don't know that one's any better than the other. I do believe that the EMA 911 should be able to run it as they see fit, because they know how to run it. They know what's going on. As a supervisor, I feel I know a little bit more about it than most of these guys do, but the bottom line is, what do they know about running a 911 center or EMA, Emergency Management Center? Basically nothing. That's why we have those people in place. So again, it's taxpayers' money any way you look at it. Whether whoever puts their name or ownership of it is still going to be Mahaska County taxpayers' money. So it really doesn't make any difference who claims it, you know. if you got your name on a car and your wife drives it, whose car is it? Belongs to both of you. It's the same way with the radio system and the EMA. It doesn't matter who you call the owner. You're still going to have upkeep, whether EMA 911 is doing it or the supervisors are doing it. But again, the bottom line is it's taxpayers' money.
All right, we have a question here in the back.
So first of all, thank you to all you gentlemen out there. I know it takes a lot to be brave to stand up in front of your peers in your community and have questions fired off of you and answered. Question I have for each of you is, what I look at in my leaders is strategic thinking and growth oriented. So let's take everything and kind of all the negatives that have been said tonight and turn those into positives. If we do go through with the airport, we do go through with a new EMA system, how will you turn those things into a growth strategy and think strategically to turn them into a positive for the community and everybody in the county?
Well, I would like to think, thinking along those lines, obviously, businesses would be a huge factor as far as moving forward with those things. An airport coming in, I'd like to hopefully see that maybe we can bring some additional businesses to this community. Again, like I said in the past, I think the biggest downfall we're going to have is finding people to fill those jobs. And again, we need to figure out some way that we can keep our young people in this area. And in doing so, it's going to take jobs, but we can't bring jobs in until we have enough people to fill them. So I'm not sure how you're going to solve that totally, but that's one of the things that I see moving forward that we could try to accomplish. That answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you.
First of all, I really appreciate the question because I'm an optimistic person by nature, and I do want to look forward. If we're sitting still, we're not moving forward, we're going backwards. We use that in coaching a lot. If we're not getting better, we're getting worse. So we need to get the EMA 911 thing behind us so people can have confidence again. If they're confident, we got something new to look forward to. It's not dragging us down. The airport thing, I don't know what's going to happen. If it does happen, we'll move forward. If it doesn't, we'll move forward. There's division right now. We can't move forward if there's division. We got to get people back together. It's really simple as listening to each other, having good conversation with each other, not suing someone. Because as soon as I sue someone, all of a sudden I put a line between us and we can't get back together. And we lose confidence in each other. We don't trust each other. It's me versus you. And pretty soon we can't work together anymore. We have to put that behind us. We have so many good things going on here. We have to look forward. We have to continue to grow it. We have to build it. We have to listen to agriculture. We have to listen to roads. We have to fix roads. We have to listen to manufacturing. We have 2,700 people going to Pella right now for jobs. That's okay. That's a good thing. That's a big deal. They're doing great things there. Maybe if there's an airport, maybe some of that comes back this way a little bit. I don't know. I agree with Paul. Trying to get new business here is maybe a little lofty right now when we got a business in town that I'm going to tour tomorrow that tells me that in 5 years, a lot of their employees are going to retire. They're just wanting employees to keep going, keep doing the things that they can do right now and grow. So that's a big deal, just keeping what we have. In order to do that, we got to bring people into town. We got to have a good school. We got to have good schools. We got stuff going on I'll talk about when I close, but in the northern part of our county, that issues that are going to come up with how we're going to spend tax dollars. There's so many good things going on here, and we're being drugged down by negative issues that we got to get cleaned up soon so we can move forward.
Well, there's several job openings in the county, the surrounding counties. Several people you just cannot find good people to fill these jobs. And I don't know why you're going to bring in more manufacturing or any other businesses right now until you can take care of the ones we got now. And to turn into a positive, it's going to be this airport. I still think it's going to be the biggest drag on this.
I asked for a positive.
I'm trying to. It's such a drag on it. It's going to take a long time to turn it around. I don't know really how you're going to do that until it's solved.
The first thing you got to do positive is keep the businesses you have. We've lost pass loads, ABS silage, or steel, type machinery. I look at Knoxville, they got a nice big factory just south of the highway, Widers. I look at Coline, they got a brand new big expansion at Coline. Both of them are 20 miles away from here. I'm not on the city council, and I'm not going to say, well, this is a city rule deal. But you got to keep them factories coming to town. You got to keep your tax rates low, and you got to let your kids know that you start something in Oskaloosa as an entrepreneur, it will grow. Kelderman Manufacturer is an entrepreneur. Vermeer's is an entrepreneur. Rollscreen is an entrepreneur. They all started by homegrown people. And you got to get your young people knowing that you're backing them and you're going to watch their tax rates and their water bills and every other thing. And you can run your business the way you want, and they will build a business in your town, I feel. So my positive is work with your young people to build your businesses, keep your tax rates low, and grow your town. So I don't know if that was a positive to the airport. I guess that when they get $1 billion, they can buy a jet. So I guess, thanks.
I think we are at that time now where we are going to proceed with closings. This is the third candidate forum that we have done. 3 of you have participated in all three. We are 2 weeks away from the election. Each of you have 1 minute to give your closing statement to the voters of why you are best fit for this job. Starting with Paul.
Thank you. I'd like to say thank you to Mahaska News and Sharon for putting this on, hosting this evening. As I've stated in the past, I want to see Mahaska County move forward. And I agree with Scott 100%. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards or you're standing still. We don't want to move backwards, and we certainly don't want to stand still. I have devoted my life to Mahaska County. I had 39 years of service to Mahaska County. I retired, and quite frankly, I didn't feel that we were moving forward in any way, shape, or form. I felt we were standing still and possibly even moving backwards. I have no intentions of doing that. I want to see Mahaska County continue to move forward in numerous ways. I want to see our children grow up here and stay here. I have a son that moved away. He was gone for 10 years, 11 years. Came back, and I'm so glad to see him come back, and he's doing well here. I want to see that happen with each and every one of us. That's my main reason for running, and I just wanted to tell you thank you, and I hope you give me the opportunity to prove it.
Again, thank you to Oski News and New Sharon's Son for hosting the forum and the opportunity to speak to the voters and the residents tonight. Again, I want to move forward as well. You're electing someone for 4 years. There's issues at hand now, the airport issue, the EMA, a couple other things. But I want you to remember that we're talking about 4 years, and you're selecting a candidate that's going to make decisions possibly on issues that we have no idea about right now. There's some things on the horizon. There's a bunch of wind turbines up by New Sharon. Some of you probably seen. There's going to be a lot of money coming in the county. We're going to be making decisions about that. There's an oil pipeline that went through the county. There's going to be decisions made about that. What other issues are going to come up? I have no idea. But you have to select someone that you can trust that's going to make a good decision on that. I've been in manufacturing. I've sat in boardrooms and had to give budgets to multi-million-dollar board members that want answers. I've been under that pressure. I understand it. I do a budget for my own farm. I'm responsible to my family for that. I've lived on the farm. I know what it's like to drive wagons, tractors, stuff up the road, see moms bring kids to school, their kids to school. I've worked on boards. I've been involved in nonprofit boards, make decisions for them, dealing with other people's money. I feel like I have a pretty good background. I'm a 15, 20-year guy looking ahead. If I just think about today, my mind's going to be clouded, my judgment's going to be clouded about what's going on today, putting out fires. I don't want to put out fires. I want to have a vision for the future, because because I want my kids to stay here, I want my grandkids to be here, I want your kids to be here, I want Oskaloosa, New Sharon, Rose Hill, all these communities to be more than Casey's and a grain elevator. I want to have a good school, I want to have a bike trail that people can go on, I want all that stuff, and make this the best place it can be going forward.
Well, I would ask for your vote this 2 weeks from today, I guess it is. I feel that I have done a lot of budgets with school boards for 16, 18 years. As far as being the best candidate, I think I'm one of the best candidates up here, and I think I would do a good job, and I would watch your tax dollars, and if any other problems come up, I would think it through before we jump to something like this airport. So, I think your vote come November 6th.
I would like to thank Ken and Charlie for putting this on. I'd like to thank all you people for showing up. I need your vote November 6th. I'm a very conservative individual. I'll get up every day and work as hard as I can for the residents of Mahaska County. Tomorrow I got a meeting all day in Des Moines and I got beans to cut. I'm going to Des Moines. So I will represent the citizens of Mahaska County. I will try to bring as much growth to Mahaska County as we can. I know there's some new hog buildings, some new dairies going up. There's growth out there all the time. I've always said good fences make good neighbors, and that's one reason I don't comment a lot on the city, because the city has their city council, they elect them, they got their job to do, I'll have my job to do. I will work with them, but I'm not going to tell them how to do their job. So, at the end of the day, that's who I am, and that's what I stand for, and thank you very much for coming.
Alrighty, well, to everybody's great relief, we'll start calling this a night. So anyway, I'd really like to thank the 4 candidates for coming, again, to be in front of everybody. It's great that we have 4 candidates that care enough about their community to put themselves on the line. So thank you, folks. Secondly, we have a lot of cake left at the back. It was Charlie's wedding, so congratulations, Charlie, the newlywed. And that's it. Have a good night, folks.
Can I ask you a question?